Hello. So, yes, Royal Rumble 2025. Let's review it. So, where do I fit in? Who am I? Who am I in general? But who am I to review a wrestling show? Would I consider myself a casual fan? I wish. But I'm somewhere in between, still obsessed and casual, somewhere in the middle there's. However, in saying all that, I haven't been a viewer of the current product week in, week out for a very long time. As in the last 5 years, when it comes to wrestling, yeah, I've watched a lot of wrestling shows in the last 5 years thanks to video streaming services. One I just joined for the first time ever. Yes, I can officially say I've Netflixed and chilled in my life now. Never thought I'd be saying those words out loud in a public video, but here we are. Whew, what a moment. So yeah, but it could have been anything from 1980 to current product. So yes, I've been watching a lot of wrestling shows in the last 5 years, but my Austin obsessed self, that was a huge wrestling mark, went to WrestleMania 25 in 2009, 16 years ago now, this April. Wow. Brings a tear to my eye, just that thought. Where's time gone? But yeah, I'm rambling on here. Basically, yes, I have watched a lot of wrestling in the last 5 years, but I can't say I've watched much of this product. In fact, when in regards to 2024 events, WWE specifically events, and wrestling in general, I have watched a handful of shows, and basically four of those handful of shows were WrestleMania 40, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. You get the picture. Anyway, here we go. 2025 Royal Rumble review. Starts off with the Women's Royal Rumble, and I thought, flat came to my mind during this show. The word flat. This wasn't very good. Also, thoughts of what am I doing with my life came to me during watching this show. I didn't watch this live, by the way. The days of me staying up to watch great events like WrestleMania 17 are long gone. I don't want to ruin my sleeping patterns again over fake fights. But yeah. So I was having those thoughts while watching this show. I thought this is going to be a long show. And so I obviously wasn't impressed much by the women's match, won by Charlotte Flair, her second Rumble win here. I was listening to Vince Russo last night. He was on a show, and I've got kind of the similar complaints, if you will. I didn't know whom a lot of these stars were. Now, perhaps I should have. I should be watching this wrestling boom period. What wrestling boom? But I didn't know who a lot of these current stars were, specifically the NXT talent. So, but in saying that, I didn't have a clue who any of the wrestlers were when I originally first started watching this back in 1991, when I watched the WWF Survivor Series Silver Vision 1988 VHS. Yes, I'm showing my age. I was 3 years old, by the way. Yeah, I'm still showing my age by saying that. But I was hooked. I was instantly hooked by wrestling. So just because I don't know whom they are doesn't mean it won't be good. But in this case, it wasn't good. There was no chemistry in the ring. Shall we move on? So the next match was kind of like, for someone who's not watched regular weekly television shows, I was kind of caught off guard by the participants of this 2 out of 3 falls tag team match. Now, when the announcer said Alex Shelley, I thought, oh, it can't be the same person. It can't possibly be the same person I was playing against in this TNA Impact game, one of my games I've collected over the years and not played much. I'm not a gamer. But I thought, no, it couldn't possibly be one from the TNA roster from 2008 that's participating at one of WWE's big shows, Royal Rumble, their second biggest show of the year. Sorry, SummerSlam. Royal Rumble is probably the second biggest. And when booked right, the most entertaining show of the year, when booked right, but it's not often booked right. I thought, it can't possibly be him. And Chris Sabin, he's in TNA Impact Game as well. I thought, whoa, if Vince McMahon had been here, I can't imagine these guys being on this show. And but I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said, okay, impress me, guys. Once again, I wasn't too impressed with what I saw. It was just the type of wrestling that put me off watching the current WWE product. Flippity flip-flop moves, not much sense going on with it all, and kind of a snooze fest. I'm sorry, I'm Frank. I'm not actually called Frank, I'm Paul, but I'm Frank when it comes to honest wrestling reviews, movie reviews, whatever review you want to do. I will be frank and honest, and that's just how it is. So, yeah, we're not. It's not getting off to a great start here. This Royal Rumble. Next up, we have Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens in a ladder match. And it was pretty much exactly how I thought it would go down. Kevin Owens would take bumps that didn't make much sense, and Cody Rhodes would end up the victor. That was really all there was to it. So, by this stage of the show, and there's only one match left, with the way Triple H books things, I was wondering. I was kind of like, I was almost like making a vow that this would be the last 2025 and future wrestling show I would ever watch. However, the men's Royal Rumble match, second half of it, I was impressed by it. I'm going to say it. I did have a tear to my eye when John Cena came out. He had a tear too. He looked quite choked up coming out for his final Royal Rumble appearance ever. I know retirement and wrestlers is kind of like, how many times has Ric Flair retired and came back? Hulk Hogan retired at WrestleMania 8, was back by WrestleMania 9, stealing the show. Love the Hulkster. So, yeah, generally, and I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, but it's like, that I could realize the moment. Michael Cole calls him the greatest of all time. I wouldn't go that far, but after the Attitude Era, with the exception of Brock Lesnar, whom else has there been? To Kurt Angle, obviously, but he went to TNA, but WWE wise, John Cena, without question, I think is head and shoulders above the supporting cast. That wasn't older wrestlers whom had been there for years, like the Shawn Michaels and the Undertakers and the Triple H's of this world. Like the wrestlers, he was the guy that kept us going. He never created a boom period, and they keep going on about this boom period that's happening. I can't specifically see it, and I'm not alone in this. But it was a goosebump moment. So I thought Roman Reigns added to the Royal Rumble. He elevated the match and show. I thought it was a nice, cool, don't like using the word cool at the grand age of 37, but it was a cool moment to see CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and John Cena all in the ring together. I thought Seth Rollins put some solid work in. I like what I see with Logan Paul. I know a lot of the wrestling fans leaning on the left are not too big fans of Logan Paul, but I think he's one of the better performers out of the entire roster of what I've seen at the Royal Rumble. So I'm all for more Logan Paul the better. So overall, I mean, this show was almost off a cliff by the third match. I mean, I was, doing the whole "what am I doing with my life" thing during the start of this show and the middle part. But you know what? The men's Royal Rumble saved it. Jey Uso, I think, caught everybody off guard. No one quite expected him to win, but as soon as I was wanting John Cena to win, I'm kind of, I thought it would have been a feel-good moment, but perhaps we'll get that down the line in this farewell tour of his. But I knew as soon as he clotheslined Logan Paul out, I knew Jey Uso was going to eventually win. It's just how things work in wrestling. You can't get too over these days, you know. So I'd give it 6.4 out of 10, which is quite high for my ratings. I'm quite brutal with my ratings. Rarely anything gets a 10 out of 10. WrestleMania 17, 10 out of 10. Royal Rumble 2000, SummerSlam 2000. Wow, 2000 was a brilliant year. Um, Even my beloved Survivor Series 2003 only gets a 9 out of 10. So I'm quite brutal with my ratings. There was a Raw episode in 1999 written by Vince Russo that I gave a 10 out of 10 when Mick Foley won the title. So it's very rare that I'll throw out a 10 just for the sake of it. But if this show was had decent matches before the men's rumble, this would have been a 7. But the undercard and the championship match let this show down. Um, as a as an in between casual and obsessed fan, I give them all the benefit of the doubt, Cody Rhodes and others, but sometimes I'm just not all that impressed by what I see in the ring, and I'm not that drawn in by the likes of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's this wrestling world. I'm just being honest. So this is my review from a in between fan, a casual and obsessed, or there. So I hope you enjoyed my take on it, and I doubt this will be a success, but if I feel there's an audience for this, I may continue reviewing more wrestling, more sports entertainment, more fake fights.